came to me and asked me to speak at this women's conference, I was absolutely thrilled because I definitely take advantage of any opportunity that I can get to give a message or a word of encouragement to other women, and I know many of you have visual impairments as well, and so that's right up my alley. So I was thrilled to do it, and my goodness, wow, what a wonderful speech by Miss Tia, and kind of a tough act to follow, but I will do my best. And actually, everything that she had to say really resonates with me, as I'm sure it does with all of us, and is very inspiring, very motivating, and very much in alignment with what I wanted to talk to you about today as well. So the first thing, what I really want to talk to you about is, all of these wonderful messages that you've heard this week, all the encouraging words, all of the motivation, all of the inspiration that you've been able to hear, and I know that you're probably just feeling awesome, and thank God, right? So but my question for you to think about, as I'm talking, and we're going to come back to this, is what do you do with that? How do we take the next step? Because I know many of you probably have things that you want to do so badly, or plans, things that you're thinking about. Maybe you want to get a job, maybe you want to go to school, maybe there's something that you need to take care of that you've been putting off. And how do you do that? How do you take the step? What is the next step? And so I just kind of want to leave that there, and I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about what I do, and I could go on for hours about this, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But I am truly passionate about the program that I work with. I'm blessed to have what I believe is the greatest job in the world. I work for the Vocational Rehabilitation Agency in Texas. It's a federally funded program. Every state has one. And I am happy, at the end of this or even afterwards, I can pass my contact information on if you guys want to find out how to get connected with this program, because it is life-changing, you guys. It does so much for so many different people, whether your goal is to gain employment or you just want to be more independent. There are so many services. And so I'm a counselor with this program. I have worked in the field for almost 18 years. I started out as a teacher. I was teaching independent living skills to blind and visually impaired students and adults. And then after that, I was a Braille instructor. I was teaching folks how to learn to read Braille, and it was all very rewarding. And then once I obtained my master's degree, I became a counselor. And so I've been doing the counseling with adults who want to find a job and helping them get connected, as Pastor Truth mentioned, with job training or education or whatever it is that they need to be able to take that next step. And so, I not only am passionate about this program and have had the pleasure of working in this field, but as a visually impaired person myself, I was a beneficiary of these services when I was growing up. And it was, it was huge for me. And so I want to pass a little bit of this information on to y'all in case you need these tools or you need these services. And so I'm going to start by just telling you a little bit about me first, because it's kind of important to the story and to the message that I eventually want to get to. So growing up, I was born, my optic nerves didn't develop completely at birth. And so I've always had a visual impairment. And when I was growing up, I got to participate in these summer camps. In Texas, we had summer camps for kids that were blind or visually impaired. And so I got to know all these, other folks that were blind and visually impaired. And I made some lifelong friends. I saw them every summer while I was growing up. And then later in my teenage years, I got connected with the program that I work with now, the Vocational Rehab Agency. And they provided me with the opportunity to do summer internships. They paid for my education, as I was getting my bachelor's degree. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and as we all do, we're young, trying to figure out some direction. And I had a phenomenal counselor. She was amazing. She was always calling me up, going, hey, we have these opportunities. I really hope that you're able to take advantage of them, and always trying to give me some direction, give me some guidance. And she was just amazing. And, without her, my life might have gone differently. But because of her and the services that I received, I was able to continue my education. And then one day, we had this reunion of all of these people that I grew up with, the summer camp. Somebody organized this big reunion, and we all got together. And I got to see all these people, and I hadn't seen them in years. And here I was, bebopping along, going to college, doing my thing. And what I realized was there were so many others that had not done anything. They were still just kind of hanging out with mom and dad. They, had not made much progress towards, whatever their goals were. And these were some really smart, really talented folks, but they just hadn't gone anywhere. They hadn't done anything with all this potential. And I was like, all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, I know what the answer is. I want to, I went to my counselor and I said, I want to do what you do. I want to know how to get there. What's the path? What do I need to study? Where do I need to go? Because I want to do this. I want to be that person that can do for these people what you did for me. And so that's kind of how I started getting into the field. And, I thought, well, all I have to do is let them know about all these things that are available. My goodness, they'll pay for your school. They'll buy you a computer. They'll send you to a job training. They'll get you a job. I mean, all they need to know is what's out there. And once they do, it's all going to be great. That's the answer. Well, so I started working. I became a counselor eventually at some point in my career. And what I noticed was I would work with all these folks, and they would get training, and they would learn skills, and they would get to a certain point, and then nothing. And I'm sitting here going, what is the deal? Why is it that, we've given them education, we've purchased all these things for them, we've done all these things, and yet, because my program is about removing barriers, right? We want to remove whatever barriers we can for folks that have disabilities. So, so we've removed all these barriers. We've helped them learn how to use a computer. We've taught them Braille. We've done whatever. They know how to cook a meal independently without help, whatever. So, and I'm thinking, okay, so they have all the tools. What's the deal? Why are they still not taking that next step? And that's what I was alluding to earlier about taking the next step. So, I would talk to other counselors, and the other counselors in the office would say, they're just not motivated. That's what it is. They're just not motivated. They just don't want to go to work. They just want to get what they can get from us, and they're not ever going to do anything with it, right? And I couldn't stand it. I was like, that's the most horrible attitude in the world. How can you feel that way? And I'm like, it's got to be more than that. What is the answer? What's the answer? And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, we've removed some physical barriers. We've sent this person to counseling, so we've addressed the emotional barriers. So what's missing? And then it occurs to me, of course it's faith. It's God. It's the thing that I can't talk to them about because I work for the state and I'm not allowed to bring it up, right? But it hits me that this is the piece. It's the missing piece. Because it's not motivation that some of these people are lacking. They want to do the things, but they're scared to death. They're afraid. They're afraid. So it's fear. It's not motivation that's holding them back. It's the fear. And sometimes it's not even their fear. It's the fear that their loved ones have. It's the people around them that are afraid to let go. And sometimes it's their own fear. But having said that, okay, so when you're afraid and you're a Christian, we know the answer. God is the answer. God is always the answer. And we know this, right? So, I can't speak to that so much in my work, even though I see it every day. I want to tell people, use your faith. lean on your faith, pray. But of course, I can't do that. Sometimes people will come to me and they'll share about their beliefs, and then that gives me an opening, and then I sometimes can. But when I had the opportunity to speak to you guys today, I really wanted to be able to bring that out, because I know that so many of us want to do things, but there's some fear around it. There's something that's stopping us. And so, the answer to that question, how do I take the next step? Whatever that step is, and whatever that looks like for you, the how always comes back to God. It always comes back to our faith. And like I said, we have to lean on it. My favorite verse, and Tia used it as well, and I just love it so much, because it doesn't matter what situation you're in, it just applies to everything, and that's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And it's so true. And, so you may be afraid. You may be afraid to take the next step. But God is there. He's always there. And He's always the answer, no matter what you're afraid of. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because through my experience in working with people, it always comes back to that, and I'm so blessed to be able to share it with a group of Christians today who I know can understand that, who can feel that. And so I just want to leave you with that. And I also want to offer, again, if you ever want to talk through something, if you need help getting connected to services or resources in your area, if you just want to brainstorm, I've been a counselor, working in this field for a long time. If there are things that you need and you don't know how to get them, there are so many services and resources that I don't have time to go into all of them now. But on a national level, guys, we have the tools. So it's all starts with you, but then, the tools and resources are out there and available. So I'm happy to share, happy to help out anytime. And that's all I've got.
Amen. Amen. Let's give her a hand, a round of applause, Kelly.